We do not think these are challenges to the accounting practitioner in adopting IVS. Over the years, the accounting profession and valuation profession is coming into consensus and working together to harmonize certain valuation aspects in the accounting and valuation standards. In Malaysia, all accountants are applying IFRS 13 to determine fair value for financial reporting purposes. IVS 104 Basis of Value defines various related concepts such as fair value, market value, and fair market value. Accordingly, the definition provided by IVS is much broader. If the accounting practitioner applying the fair value prescribed under IFRS 13, he or she will be complying to IVS. We also understand that some practitioners might view that the lack of data infrastructure required to adopt the IVS pose to be a challenge. The approaches under IVS will require up-to-date market information. We do not view this as a challenge, but this is an important requirement to enhance the quality and completeness of our valuation. There are numerous sources available in the market such as Bloomberg, Thomson Reuters, or S&P Capital IQ, which the practitioner can subscribe, and these sources are used commonly in the valuation practices across the world. It is important to know that valuation is not merely an application of a set of formula or methodology, but rather also requires the use of professional judgment. To become a good valuation professional, one must ensure that he or she is under the coaching, guidance, and mentor by an accredited or experienced professional valuer for any on-the-job experiences. This is critical to train and develop the trainee to conceptualize the steps in selecting the appropriate valuation methodologies, approaches, and parameters. Through in-depth market research, detailed understanding of the latest development in the sectors of the valuation subject, and analysis of the key drivers of the valuation subject, as well as steps in challenging the valuation outcome by comparing, benchmarking with few valuation approaches to ensure the reasonableness of our valuation opinion. A deep understanding of the strategy used for a company and the industry is crucial to the valuation process. For instance, in 2000 during the bank merger in Malaysia, PB multiple is generally applied, but valuer is also applying discounted earnings method to value a bank. Currently, all the unicorns, fintechs, and healthtech companies which do not generate any profit. How do we value these companies? Hence, it is utmost important to have an accredited or experienced professional valuer to guide the trainee, and it is also essential for the trainee to continuously involve in various valuation jobs for different purposes, example financial reporting, market transaction, internal management, etc., to broaden his or her exposure and experiences in valuation. Based on our past experiences, a high-quality valuation would have conducted a thorough market research and critical analysis of the valuation subject or target company. As professionals, we have to deep dive into the industry in which the target company is a part of. Deep knowledge in the industry is crucial to understand the necessary benchmark, historical trends, and relative financial margins or ratios. On top of that, certain industries have key differences in the way they are valued. A valuation professional has to find the appropriate valuation approach methodology based on the relevant market sentiments, and deep knowledge in the area will provide proper sense checking with the appropriate cross-checking methods. For instance, valuation of tech companies would reference to the industry EV per subscriber or EV per active user, as opposed to the traditional EV EBITDA or PE ratio, and this company might not generate any profit during the initial stage. Besides key financial performance metrics, strategic analysis such as understanding the company's comparative advantages over its competitors helps the valuation professional to understand and justify the appropriate premium or discount or judgments made to the estimated value. With the rise of sunrise industry that have yet achieved maturity and or profitability, such as digital bank and tech companies, understanding of the current business climate and technological advancements, i.e. transitioning out of sunset industries, provides the valuation professional pivotal benchmarks and metrics in the absence of directly comparable guideline companies for cross-checking purposes. Further, the purpose of the valuation is to derive an opinion on the valuation outcome of the valuation subject or target company. Accordingly, it is important to ensure the valuation outcome is reasonable and properly cross-checked to market data. We have to focus on the big picture, the purpose of the valuation, rather than look into individual parameters. Isolating too much into details such as discount rate, PFI assumptions or growth rate would derail the valuation process, and the team may lose focus and time on the purpose of the valuation, i.e. the reasonableness of the valuation outcome. The ESG initiative is still a relatively recent development. Most valuation professionals are still coming up with various ways to transition into this new era of applying value to sustainable standards and practices. Examples include ways to value the cost saving from carbon emissions, leveraging on global carbon trading standards, and societal impacts such as accidents and pollutions. Most ESG data are not hard numbers but rather based on the skilling measurement. Valuation professionals are attempting to implement approaches that translate these measurements into pivotal information for valuation approaches. One such example is applying a valuation correlation tool that identifies key relationships between ESG scoring system and the financial performance of businesses that practice proper ESG policy and standards. There are also other interesting developments, just to name one: climate change risk modeling, which uses input-output model to quantify the potential impact from climate change and the corresponding government policy or intervention to the economy, example GDP, employment, which in turn will affect the prospective financial information for valuation purposes. Valuation professionals must rely less on subjective professional judgments and prioritize practicing common market practices as well as gathering accurate and defendable facts and evidence. Precedent information is key to deter doubts from all parties in the litigation valuations. It is impossible to try to reach a consensus between the plaintiffs and defendants on the financial projections and the underlying assumption for a court order. Being clear about the source of information, how it is being relied upon, and the consideration that go into the valuation is important to articulate why certain approaches, adjustments are made in the valuation process. At times, where possible, to cite literature or court precedent judgment to validate such consideration. Market sentiment is crucial to decide the best action moving forward. Being clear about the sources of information, how it is being relied upon, and the consideration that go into the valuation is important to articulate why certain approaches, adjustments are made in the valuation process. At times, where possible, to cite literature or court precedent judgment to validate such consideration. Market sentiment is crucial to decide the best action moving forward. Accountants will apply the relevant accounting treatments based on professional judgment as per the set of accounting standards during the account recording process. Valuation professionals follow common valuation standards, but outcomes may be subjective and require more professional judgment based on expertise and experience. It is important that an aspiring valuation professional be mentored or guided by an experienced or accredited professional valuer and given adequate exposure. Other soft skills, including having the propensity to learn, keeping up to date with the latest relevant news, is essential for a valuer to develop into a competent advisor.